trying to avoid that. At least a little bit. I almost just ate it. My chair almost slid out from under me, so I would have taken my chin to the top desk, the bottom desk, and then all the rungs of my stool the whole way down. Hey, I'm Blake.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the OG Slashers episode of First Prize Films, the podcast of your nightmares, where we each select a genre-specific movie and pit them against each other to find out which film was the coveted title of First Prize. Dave, what does that mean for us?
Yeah, so it's like talking shit on the internet.
Yeah.
No one wins.
Nobody.
Today we are slashing our way through these OG slasher films.
We are.
I made Blake watch A Nightmare on Elm Street, a movie that should totally have a crossover with Inception.
For sure. And I made you, Dave, watch 1980's Friday the 13th, a movie that made me really value my time not watching Friday the 13th. So, Dave, we're getting into October now. We're finally into a spooky season.
Sure are.
And we're handling some serious OG slasher films. People still talk about these movies all the time.
Yeah, not sure why, but they do.
Do you have any experience with these? I think I know the answer, but I would like to hear it from your mouth.
No.
Shocked I am.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Wow, Dave.
Glad you were sitting down. But I have to say, though, when I was like 4, my very first memory was me, my older brother, and our babysitter were sitting on a couch in the dark, and they were watching Jason, and they were both terrified. And I was like, is he on his way to a hockey game, or what's up?
As I've talked about before, I grew up watching a ton of horror films, but slashers and stuff like this weren't really anything I cared that much about. I didn't really connect with them. I watched the original Friday the 13th all the frickin' time, though, when I was like a teenager. But I didn't really get into Nightmare on Elm Street that much as a franchise, so I can't tell you the last time I saw the original.
Yeah, I can. Never. Well, but me. I've never seen them.
I was definitely excited to kind of rediscover these films, but that excitement petered out pretty fucking quick.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm glad now, though, that I can stand in a circle talking about these movies and not just be like, whose hockey team are we talking about? Are they on the same one, or are they... What's up?
At least you're in the right season. Probably, I don't know how hockey works, but now you can talk more intelligently and at length about two of these original slasher films. They spawned deep and sprawling franchises that, I swear to God, we better not get any more of these. We've already gone through the reboots and the sequels and all this stuff already. We might be on to a third cycle of reboots and sequels now. So... they're never going to end as much as they should.
Right. I mean, we have already been hearing rumblings of a new Nightmare on Elm Street, so...
Fucking why? Why?
Because it's a nightmare!
Everything's a nightmare. Yeah. But that's okay. No, it's not. But I'm going to tell myself it's okay, and we're gonna power through this thing, because I've lots of thoughts, lots of feelings, and a fucking lot of notes. So we should probably get to getting.
You're going to have to drag me through this camp into this dream.
I'll put you to sleep, that's for fucking sure.
Yeah, that's true. I'm almost asleep now.
Movie 1, A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984.
All right, Dave, I need to know the synopsis for 1984's Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right, dude, I will give you the synopsis for the movie that I did not keep forgetting A at the beginning of every time I typed it.
Welcome to Elm Street, where dreams become reality, or reality becomes a dream. I don't know. There's a guy with finger knives and a sick Christmas sweater who is trying to kill teenagers in their sleep from inside their dreams. Or reality. I'm confused.
We're all confused. Nobody knows what's going on.
So we open to a blonde teenager named Tina in a fucking muumuu running around the boiler room while being stalked by an unknown entity. No, not the goat, something scarier.
Oh, Tina's also subsequently our high school crush and our grandmother in one exact scene.
Yes, she is our Freudian high school crush.
Yeah, I like this. Oedipus Tina.
Gross.
You You okay, Tina?
That's right, it's a guy in a hat. Oh, and he's got finger knives?
I guess.
Anyway, Tina was just having a nightmare. But when she wakes up, she has tears on the muumuu she's wearing. She's a rough sleeper, Blake. Leave her alone.
I also do like this character introduction because it's like most people would dream of like, I don't know, like a ghost or like some kind of monster. But this is a man in a very specific sweater with a very dusty hat and not even like a knife or like an axe or something. He's got finger knives.
I don't know.
Eat better, Tina. Check your diet.
I'm so glad you guys could come over tonight.
So the next day, Tina tells her friends, Rod, Nancy, and Jack Sparrow before he discovered rum, about her nightmare.
Yeah, this is early Johnny Depp. This is the earliest Johnny Depp?
Yes, because in the credits it says introducing Johnny Depp.
Oh, and introduced we were.
Sure. Yeah, So later that night, though, she's having a little slumber party with all of these friends because she just wants to forget about the nightmare and have a good time.
But this is my question, Dave. Where was that nightmare located?
Oh, I believe it was on Maple Street. No, sorry, Oak Street. Fuck!
It was Fern Street, Dave. Jesus Christ.
All day long I've been seeing that guy's weird face and hearing those fingernails. And that made me remember the dream I had last night. I dreamed about a guy in a dirty red and green sweater.
I gotta be honest, I'd probably be freaked out about having a nightmare with a guy in a dirty Christmas sweater myself.
I mean, yeah, I'm usually the guy in the dirty Christmas sweater, so we don't
true.
talk about last Christmas, though.
Yeah, you are a nightmare. Anyway, turns out Nancy and Tina dreamt about the same guy. That's not at all disconcerting.
No.
No more nightmares for either one of us then.
When did you have a nightmare?
So after Rod lives up to his name with ear-splittingly loud sex with Tina, we find out that Rod has a nightmare too. But before we can find out what it was, he passes out like a guy after sex.
We've all been there. Not me, but I assume we've all been there. And Rod is just out for the count.
Well, listen, we don't have time to dwell on the sexual habits of teenagers in the 80s because it's nightmare time.
Woo, finally.
Tina wanders into the backyard because that's always a good idea in the middle of the night.
For sure.
And it goes about as well as you'd expect.
Very well.
Okay, so it goes much, much worse than you'd expect. She's chased back into the house by Christmas sweater guy and then cut open and drug along the ceiling, all while Rod just watches and keeps yelling her name over and over.
Dude, I noticed that too. He's like, Tina! And she's just like rolling around the ceiling. Blood is spurting everywhere. And he's just, Tina! Like, do something!
Do something, bro. God damn it.
Anything.
But I sure would like to know what the hell you were doing shacking up with 3 other kids in the middle of the night.
So now we're with Nancy and her cop dad, who is upset about the murder. No, sorry, he's upset his daughter was having a sleepover. This cop is worried about the real issues I see.
Very realistic cop. I like this guy.
Anyway, Rod is on the run, and Tina tries telling her dad that Tina and Rod only fought a little, no big.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Just move away from us, son.
So on the run, Rod snags Nancy off the street to try and convince her he didn't kill Tina. Seems like there could have been a better way to try and go about that, but we'll roll with it.
He still has Tina's blood all over him. He rips her off the sidewalk. He's like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And I was like, you're not helping yourself right now.
Regardless, though, Nancy's cop dad isn't going to roll with this because he was tailing her just to get to Rod.
Yeah, Nancy was straight up the bait.
Listen, Nancy doesn't have time for this, though, because she's got to get to class. Because, you know, the American school system doesn't stop for murder.
Hell no.
Well, Nancy fucking fell asleep in class, and now she's following dead Tina being dragged through the halls of the school before she ends up in a boiler room with dirty Christmas sweater guy, who I'm just going to go ahead and call Freddy.
Dude, literally the image of Tina in the body bag in the classroom was legitimately freaky.
Come to Freddy.
So after Nancy embarrassed herself over a little nightmare, she pieces the hell out of the school to go home. She goes to the prison to talk to Rod about what happened with Tina.
Dude, fuck Rod.
Tina did.
How do you know that somebody else was there?
Because somebody cut her while I watched.
Well, maybe you should have done something other than screaming, Rod.
This would sound crazy. Like if I was the cop and like her boyfriend was like, I swear she just floated up in the ceiling and was just torn open. I'd be like, bro, that sounds cool, but I don't believe you.
What are you on and how much left of it do you have? Anyway, Rod goes on to tell Nancy about his nightmare with Freddy, which freaks her out so bad she goes home to do the only logical thing, relax in the bath.
Hey, that's what I do.
So because Nancy refuses to sleep for good reason, I guess, she passes out in the tub and Freddy tries to drown her. But somehow she wakes up in just enough time to not drown.
Dude, this entire scene is so wild too because literally Freddy's hand comes up between her legs in the tub and takes her under. Like, it's an iconic shot. She's screaming for her mom, gets out of the tub. Her mom breaks in. She goes, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "What are you talking about, Mom? Leave me alone, Mom. I'm fine." And I'm like,
Your reaction is to gaslight your own mom?
straight up.
Great. So basically, she just has to never sleep again. Luckily, her boyfriend Glenn is here to help her not fall asleep, though.
Oh, thank God.
I'm gonna go and look for somebody. And I want you to stand like a sort of a guard, okay?
Wait, damn it, Nancy, I said don't sleep. Not go looking for Freddy in your nightmares. No one ever listens to me.
She's like, okay, I shouldn't sleep, but I'm going to anyway, but I'm going to need a human alarm to make sure I don't sleep for too long.
I guess we're just going to go into Nancy's nightmare with her.
Let's go.
So in this nightmare, Nancy goes to the outside of the jail and watches Freddy ghost his way into Rod's cell. But not for long, because Freddy is now fucking chasing her down the street into her house where they WWE all over her bed before...
You shit. You fell asleep.
Of course Glenn fell asleep.
Duh, he's like 16, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, after Nancy wakes up, her and Glenn beeline straight to the jail to go check on Rod. But cop dad and deputy guy are like, dude, chill, he's fine. But then Nancy pulls the little girl, please, dad, crap. And when they finally get into the cell, things aren't going too great. That's right. Freddy Epsteined Rod. You know, hung him but made it look like he hung himself.
Dude, this also kind of doesn't make sense because Rod wasn't in a dream. He was just in the awake world and Freddy still possesses his sheets and hangs him.
Yes, this is the beginning of many confusing parts for me, and we're just going to blow right past it.
Okay, anyway, Rod did not kill himself.
Rodstein didn't kill himself. Yeah, and then we cut to Rod's funeral where Nancy decides this is the perfect time to tell her parents about Dirty Christmas Sweater Freddy, which is in poor taste, Nancy. Poor taste.
Poor taste.
I'm going to get her some help.
Either way, Nancy's mom has had about enough of this and takes her to a sleep clinic because she's tired of Nancy sleeping wrong, damn it.
Why would she take her to a sleep clinic? Why wouldn't she take her to a fucking therapist?
Because she's tired of the sleeping thing. She doesn't care about her mental health.
Oh, good point. It's the 80s.
I don't see why you couldn't just give me a pill to keep me from dreaming.
So Nancy's mom and the doctor watch her sleep while she's hooked up to a mind-reading machine or whatever.
Yeah.
And Dr. Sandman is babbling on about dreams like it's his job or something when...
What's she doing? Is she dreaming?
I brought something out from my dream.
Nancy stole Freddy's hat.
Bro.
Two wrongs don't make a right, Nancy.
Theft is not the answer.
She brought out his hat from the dream world. How? Well, shut up. Regardless, even with Nancy literally waving the proof in her mother's face, her mother's all, just go to sleep. You know the one thing that's causing all your problems? Do that some more.
Quit your bitching. We took you to the clinic. You blew up the machinery, pulled a hat out of nowhere. Just shut up and go to sleep.
Fred Krueger can't come after you, Nancy. He's dead. You knew about him all this time?
Bum, bum, bum. And the plot thickens, which is good because it was pretty thin up to this point.
That's, well, yes.
So now Nancy and Glenn are hanging out at the Venice canals for some reason, and she's telling him that she's not going to take this lying down. You see what I did there?
It's a, I get it. Good for you.
Booby traps and improvised anti-personnel devices?
I'm into survival.
Hey, she's got jokes. And you know what her mom's got? Bars on the windows.
I thought this was a dream because it's so weird. We show up to the house. It's straight up covered with bars. The shrubbery's been ripped out and shit.
This definitely seems logical because if your daughter's having sleep issues, you board up the windows?
Yeah, it's like, so we haven't talked about it, but Nancy's mom is a raging alcoholic. And I'm just so confused because it's like, I know who's haunting you in your dreams. He's dead. But also, we should get some bars on these windows.
Yeah, but you know what? She's going to tell us her reasons, and I can't wait to hear them.
Let's hear it.
You want to know who Fred Krueger was? He was a filthy child murderer who killed at least 20 kids in the neighborhood.
See, wait a minute, hang on. How many fucking kids are in one neighborhood? 20 kids from one neighborhood?
And where did they go? When was this? How have the kids not heard about this yet?
I know, and how are there any kids left?
Straight up, the gene pool is shallow, I know, but like, goddamn.
Whatever, we don't have time to dwell on the details, okay? We have to focus on the other details. You know, the ones where Nancy's mom and the other parents from the neighborhood lit Freddy on fire and killed him like a spider in the night.
Oh my God, they had their own tale. I want to see that movie.
Yeah, that's the movie we need to see.
I even took his knives. So it's okay now. You can sleep.
Well, I guess Nancy's mom doesn't know what chronological order means, but Nancy does, and she ignores her mom's pleas to just go to sleep so you get murdered, Nancy. I just want to drink in peace.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nancy's got a plan.
I grab the guy in my dream. You see me struggling, so you wake me up. We both come out, you whack the fucker, and we got him.
So after Nancy asks Glenn to help with this plan and she mainlines some caffeine pills, we see Glenn being way too open and honest with his mom about watching a naked lady on TV.
His mom's like, oh, honey, don't fall asleep masturbating again.
Oh, also, Glenn's dad thinks Nancy's a lunatic. But you know what? Doesn't matter because it's plan time.
Finally.
Glenn, answer the phone.
Glenn's asleep. You'll have to talk to him tomorrow.
Okay, so I guess it's actually come up with a plan B time.
Whatever. Was there ever really a plan A?
I don't know, but she's got to come up with her plan B after she gets mad and rips the phone line out of the wall, making the phone inoperable now, so Glenn can't call her. But I'm sure she'll think of a plan before she falls back asleep, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
What?
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Well, that was disgusting.
Yeah, so this is also in the real life. I was like, oh, is she dreaming now? No.
This is just the phone tonguing her mouth.
Yeah, I wish somebody would tongue my mouth.
Nope, not gonna. Anyway, so Nancy tries to run to help Glenn, who is currently being turned into projectile blood soup.
Gross.
But Nancy's alcoholic mom has locked her in the house. Ma'am, that's a fire hazard.
Dude, there's so many things wrong with this. Glenn gets killed by getting sucked in the bed and then chummed out onto his ceiling. But now Nancy's trying to leave and she's locked inside the house and her alcoholic mother hid the key and then fell asleep, I guess.
Basically.
You won't need a stretcher up there. You'll need a mop.
So Cop Dad is called to the scene, and Nancy calls him from literally across the street to bring him in on her plan B, which I guess she needed her boyfriend to die to come up with. It's called inspiration, Blake. Get over it.
You know what? Fine.
Just come here and break the door down in exactly 20 minutes. Can you do that?
Yeah, sure.
All right, now that we've gotten the preemptive call for backup out of the way,
Yeah.
You know what time it is, Blake.
Finally plan time?
Montage time!
I'll take it.
So here's what we see from the plan being set up, right?
Okay.
We see Nancy setting traps all around her house where drunk mom is suspiciously nowhere to be found. We've got a tripwire, powder from a shotgun shell that she pours into a light bulb, which is kind of brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
A sledgehammer above the door kind of trap thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm realizing where the creators of Home Alone got their ideas.
This is straight up Nancy McAllister up in here.
And now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
I think he goes by Freddy, Nance, but that's fine, you're tired. Anyway, let's get to nightmaring.
Please.
Nancy sets her talking wristwatch alarm from the 80s and drifts off into nightmare world.
Is it scary?
No, you're fine. It's fine.
I'm scared.
I'm here!
Shut up, Nancy. He's going to hear you. Oh, wait, no, right. Sorry, that's the plan. My bad. Let's continue. So Nancy makes her way down into the nightmare boiler room, past the voices of her friends and Freddy's bedroom, apparently, before Freddy finally shows himself.
I'm gonna show you yourself, you bastard!
So Freddy chases around the corner of the boiler room into her front yard somehow, where Nancy yeets herself onto Freddy right as her alarm goes off, waking her up.
Yeah.
But she's by herself, so I guess she's crazy after all.
Dude, Nancy was straight coming down from the rope. She's like, I got you.
Bitch, you thought. Now Freddy is chasing Nancy around the house because he's there now.
Yeah.
But luckily, though, she's got the upper hand at the moment. Oh, and every time one of her traps goes off, she yells out the window for help.
Dude, Nancy's literally running around. She's breaking windows. She's like, help me. Please help. Freddy's in here. She's screaming, and nobody fucking helps.
It's true.
Daddy, help me!
Maybe I better go tell a lieutenant.
Yeah, so finally, the officer who was told by Cop Dad to watch Nancy's house finally realizes that maybe the chief's daughter screaming for help out of the window 3 times is exactly the if you see anything, come get me that Cop Dad was fucking talking about.
It's like, oh shit, I gotta do something. This is getting a little out of control.
And because that dumbass officer is slow walking the getting of the help, Nancy's got to improvise now.
Oh god, what does she do now?
Hey!
Nancy covers Freddy in some kind of accelerant and lights his ass on fire like a marshmallow at a bonfire before locking him in the basement. And then Cop Dad and his buddies finally arrive and he sends them into the basement while he and Nancy follow the fiery footsteps up to Nancy's mom's room.
I get this whole thing, like, you know, you gotta kill Freddy, but she's also like, hey, let's start a horrible fire in the basement of the house that I'm locked inside of. Good idea.
Watch out, he's under there!
So Freddy attacked Nancy's mom, turned her into a toasted Halloween decoration, sucked her into the void within the bed, and Cop Dad just nonchalantly leaves the room like, oh, well, I hated that bitch anyway. But it's not over yet, Blake.
What happens next?
You die.
I know the secret now. This is just a dream.
Okay, now it's over because Nancy realized she was dreaming the whole time, which I totally knew.
What?
And she tells Freddy she's not scared of him anymore. He disappears. She wakes up and bing, bang, boom, Nancy is outside and awake again. And she's getting into the car with Glenn, Tina, and Rod.
But here's the thing, Freddy doesn't just disappear, he turns into static and then evaporates.
Good girl.
I'm not doing it. What's going on with the window?
That's right. Glenn's car turns into a dirty Christmas car, trapping the kids inside before taking off while Nancy's mom just smiles and waves before getting turned into a mannequin and pulled into the tiny window through the door.
Dude, Nancy's mom gets turned into a blow-up doll that gets ripped through a tiny window.
7 ain't gonna stay up late.
And we roll credits. Wait a minute. Is Nancy stuck in a dream now?
I don't know. Literally, the credits roll, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? Did she dream the dream? Did she dream her ending? Literally, nothing is answered, and I'm mad.
I'm just trying to figure out at what point did she start dreaming in this movie, because they're insinuating that everything up to this point, after a certain point in the movie, was all a dream.
Yeah, because we see that final scene, and Tina's there, and Rod is there, Glenn, everybody's there. So I guess her dream started before the movie even started?
I think her dream started when she was trying to tune out the Rod laying down his Rod Fest, and Freddy's head kind of pokes out from the wall a little bit.
Okay.
I think that's where he started focusing on her, and everything after that was a whole big dream.
I have so many questions, but we don't have the time to unpack all of them because
No.
I don't. Maybe this makes sense to somebody fully, and maybe there's an actual explanation to all of it. But like,
Doubt it.
It doesn't feel very clear.
No.
And I didn't leave this movie like, oh wow, what a fun twist ending. I was just like, what?
It literally was a left turn that made no sense. Like, I was like, oh wait, what? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What happened? Where are we? Who am I?
It felt very modern in the way that they're just like, hey, we need a spooky ending. Just make something go wah or whatever at the end.
Right.
And then end the movie. It's like, okay, well, what does it mean? I don't know, but it's spooky.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But yeah, that's where we are with that one.
So as weird as this movie was, did you have fun watching it at least?
A little bit. I thought what was fun was Nancy, like, getting sick of this shit and being like, yeah, I'm going to take him on. I'm going to do it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, she took her power back. I think there were some fun kills in it. There were some really interesting visual things they did that were actually really spooky. Some pretty fun effects, some pretty goofy, wonky looking stuff too. But
That's true.
But I did actually have more fun with this movie than I anticipated having.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It was definitely more fun than I thought it was going to be when it first started. I'll give you that.
I can see why this also got popular as well. Like this makes sense to me as the origin of a franchise like this.
But it needs to stay in the past.
I agree. We don't need another reboot. We don't need anything. You know what we definitely don't need?
What?
Another movie.
Too bad we got one.
Oh yeah, it's my movie.
Movie 2, Friday the 13th, 1980.
Okay, Blake, we are over our nightmares. Let's go to camp now. Give me the synopsis for Friday the 13th.
After years of bad luck and a couple minor homicides, Camp Crystal Lake is opening back up for business. Watch as our unsuspecting teen counselors get picked off one by one by an unknown killer. All of this between long scenes of mundane chores and the sound of my snoring.
Milk and honey on the other side. Hallelujah.
We open open at night to Camp Crystal Lake in 1958. It's your stereotypical summer camp, right? You know, we got fire, we got camp songs, we got s'mores, embarrassing hairdos, tube socks, the whole thing, man.
Sounds like your Thursday.
Only in the summers, Dave.
Does Marianne kiss as good as I do?
How would I?
Oh, you.
One thing I left out, though, we got horny camp counselors in collared shirts. And you know what they say, the bigger the collar, the wider the neck.
Oh, what?
So two of these counselors, shut up. So two of these counselors sneak off from the pack and they go up to an unfinished loft. They got to get 2 L's. They got to get laid and Lyme disease because I guarantee there's ticks up there.
Man, you've said it before and no one will say it again, but teenagers really will have sex anywhere.
Dude, anywhere, truly. So these two get fucked, but not in the way you think.
We weren't doing anything. We were just messing around.
They're both murdered, Dave. I know, shocking.
How dare they bring Hanky Panky into that barn?
The barn strikes back. So an unknown person sneaks up to the loft, kills the 2 counselors, and then kills my erection. So we might be in the woods, Dave, but I'm not pitching tents anytime soon.
Oh,
this
Lord.
is too much for me. I'm fucking out of here. It's a camp joke. Hey!
Oh my God.
Excuse me, how far is Camp Crystal Lake from here?
Now, we fast forward to Friday the 13th, present day, or present day 40 years ago. A girl named Annie, she arrives in a small town where she's got a hitchhike to Camp Crystal Lake. To say she gets a lukewarm response would be an understatement.
Yeah, remember the good old days when you would get into a car with a total stranger to go where you want to go? Good thing we don't do that anymore.
Definitely should bring that back.
We do. It's called Uber.
We're going to get into more of that, Dave.
You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you? You'll never come back again.
Oh, shut up, Ralph.
It's got a death curse.
So what we learn as Annie rides with a total stranger to Camp Crystal Lake was that after a boy drowned in 1957, strange things and murder started happening, so they closed the camp down. Now it's reopening and the locals think it has a curse. They call it Camp Blood, which is low effort, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm Steve Christie.
Hey,
Marcy
this is
Jen.
Marcy. I'm Ned Rubenstein.
Welcome to Camp Crystal Lake.
Thank you.
So while Annie continues her travels, we get to meet the rest of our main cast. We have the new camp counselors here and the owner, Steve. So we have the goofy guy, Ned, and then just the normal ones. We got Bill, Marcy, Brenda, Alice, and Jack, who's played by Kevin Bacon. And don't worry about remembering the names because I fucking can't either.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on remembering any names other than Kevin Bacon, which I'm realizing is not his character name.
It should be, though.
Well, come on, let's go.
So we don't have any campers here at Camp Crystal Lake yet because they're going to help Steve clean up the camp and get it ready to open. So after about 5 minutes where nothing of consequence at all happens, we're back with our hitchhiking cook, Annie. She needs one more ride to get to the camp, so a Jeep picks her up, which is a major red flag because it's a Jeep.
Yes, Jeep owners are red flags.
Hi, I'm going to Camp Crystal Lake.
So things between Annie and this unseen driver are going really great until, you know, it isn't going really great.
Hey, wasn't that the road up for Camp Crystal Lake back there? Please, stop!
Hey, you forgot your bags.
Oh, well, I don't think Annie's concerned about that. She has to fucking literally tuck and roll out of this speeding Jeep, and now she's on foot, hobbling through the forest to get away from this unseen person. And kind of like the first kills in 1958, we see a lot of this scene from the perspective of the killer, which I think is pretty unsettling, even though it's still daylight out. I think it gets the job done.
Oh, I agree with that. It's definitely very creepy. Reminds me of my last Wednesday.
What? Whatever. Finally, drenched in the musk of the dirty woods, Annie succumbs to her terminal illness of cutthroatitis.
Which is not being cutthroat at business.
And is also not communicable, thank God. That's right. Our unseen killer slices up Annie, and this effect actually looks pretty good, to be honest with
for
you.
the time,
like that throat cut, I'd say it still holds up relatively well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fucking Tom Savini worked on this movie, dude.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Anyway, Annie's dead, and we're moving on, Dave.
Come on, Ned.
Hurry up, hurry up. Come on, man. Come on.
Oh, Jesus!
So back at the camp, instead of physical assault, we're dealing with sexual assault because Ned, the goofy one, quote unquote, faked a drowning to smooch one of the girls, giving him mouth to mouth. It's really gross.
It's very gross. And I got to be honest with you. At first, I was like, oh my God, Ned caught spontaneous forget how to swim-itis. And then I realized he was just being a sexual deviant.
Yes. Ned was like that kid in school who had glue sticks, and now he's supposed to run a camp. So this is going good.
It's going great.
But something in the woods also watches Ned commit a sex crime. So let's get on with it.
Hey, I know that sound.
Hey, everybody knows the sound.
Oh.
Sorry. So it gets later in the day, and we witness the gang hunt a snake in a cabin, talk to a police officer, and then find the town crazy person in the pantry.
That's really keep it, Blake.
I'm a messenger of God. You're doomed if you stay here. This place is cursed.
This is the same guy, Ralph, who told Annie back in town that the camp was cursed, and he literally just walks out of the pantry, gets on a bike, and rides away. That's it. That's all that happens.
Oh, he's the kind of troll that I aspire to be.
Dude, this man biked literally 20 miles to the camp to hide in the pantry, scare them, tell them they're cursed, and then fuck off? Like, I get that he's like the crazy guy, but that doesn't mean he's an Olympic athlete, okay? I don't care about anything enough to bike 40 miles round trip.
Listen, when you're dedicated to the troll.
Fair enough.
Hello? Can I help you?
So things start happening now. Ned sees somebody go into one of the cabins, and he takes off to investigate. Then a storm blows in, and Jack and Marcy decide to do some investigating themselves. Like investigating on them. It's sex. They're having sex now. But here's the catch, Dave. Jack isn't the only stiff one in this cabin. While him and Marcy are fornicating on the bottom bunk, Ned's stiff dead body is on the top bunk.
Jesus Christ, they're fucking beneath Ned's corpse.
I know, it's so fucking gross and creepy looking.
Can you imagine finding out you were having sex beneath the corpse?
Which time?
Yo, where you going?
Gotta pee. You're lying on the floor.
So Marcy gets up to go take a piss, and Jack meets an archery-themed death by taking an arrow through his neck from under the bed.
How strong? No. How weak is the bed? Not how strong is the person. What is the bed made out of? Tissues?
It's a mat on some cheesecloth.
That's the one.
So somebody killed Ned, put him to bed, and then laid patiently under the bunk until after the kids were done having sex on top of them, and then killed Jack.
I mean, why wouldn't he just get a twofer?
Like, none of this makes sense.
No.
Literally at all. If a CSI team showed up with blacklights, though, I'd be willing to bet there's more than one stain. I'm just saying. That's my only motivation.
Were you there?
No, the only motivation I can think of for the killer.
Oh.
I was outside. But now we're with Marcy as she's cleaning herself up. She took a piss, she washes her hands, and then she's got to get her face rearranged by an axe. That's right, Marcy took an axe to the face, and that's 3 brutal deaths in quick succession. Finally, because up until now, the only real death has been my patience, dude. This is a slog.
Yeah, I know it took us a while to get here, but at least we got to watch Marcy get fucked in 2 different ways.
I think I made that joke already.
Fine, I guess you only care about your boner.
But now we have only 3 counselors left. We have Bill, Brenda, and Alice. The 60s folk trio nobody fucking asked for.
Hello?
So Brenda, who just went from playing strip Monopoly to wearing a Mennonite's nightgown, hears a voice from outside. And this part was actually spooky because it sounds like there's a little kid in trouble. So Brenda walks into the rain in her nightgown with no shoes on and a flashlight.
And I gotta say, I'm getting pretty frustrated because a ghost voice? Really? You didn't have to use tricks to kill the other 3 kids. You're getting lazy.
Or more inventive. Brenda's just traipsing about outside. If she doesn't get killed, she's at least getting trench foot.
Or hypothermia.
Or a weird Civil War disease. I don't know.
Going out, it's not funny anymore.
Saving herself some awkward shoe fittings later in life, Brenda is killed off-screen when she ventures into the archery range. This was a perfect opportunity to light her up with arrows. The movie already started this motif with Jack, and it just shits the bed here.
It absolutely shits the bed. I was waiting for that to happen, and then it didn't.
I don't know if the movie ran out of budget for this kill or what. All I know is that we spent a lot of time with Brenda, and there's no real payoff to it.
No.
Where is she?
And then there were 2, Dave. We have Bill and Alice. They notice the archery lights are on, so they go out searching for Brenda when they discover something spooky.
Is it kids?
No, that is spooky, though. There's an axe in Brenda's bed. Or she turned into an axe.
Oh.
I don't know. I fell asleep for a minute there.
Yeah.
But in their search for the other counselors, Bill and Alice discover their phone lines are cut, the car they have there isn't working, and they should probably just relax and wait for Steve. It's probably fine.
It's the only option. Wait, who's Steve?
Here's a change, Steve.
Oh, you keep it sandy.
Steve is the guy who we introduced before. He's an older guy. He's the one who hired these kids to open this thing out. And he should be back any time now. He's their knight in shitty armor.
Great.
Hello? Who's that? Oh, hi. What are you doing out in this mess?
Yeah, well, guess what? Steve's dead too. Fuck! From what? Who knows, Dave? He was coming back from being in town, an entire subplot that leads to nothing, and he runs into somebody pointing a flashlight at him at the camp. That's when the music happens and Steve makes a face, and I guess he was stabbed.
Probably. That's my guess.
This is so lazy. It's so frustrating. That's literally 2 kills in a row. This movie just noped out of showing.
It's true. It's like, you get it, right? You get it.
We're stuck with Bill and Alice now.
Damn it.
Why don't you stay here and try and get some sleep? I'll be right back.
So Bill, being the nice young man in flannel that he is, goes out to put more gas in the generator, but when Alice wakes up, he's nowhere to be found. So what would you do, Dave, right now?
At this point,
yeah,
I would probably lock myself in and look around in all the windows,
Even though these 2 people, Bill and Alice, don't know that there's murders happening, I wouldn't go out. No. But Alice is like, I'm going to go look for Bill.
Yeah, nope.
Bill!
In a wild turn of events that nobody saw coming, we find Bill's body. Wow.
What?
Wow.
I never would have guessed.
Remember how I was hoping for a extreme arrow death with Brenda?
Yeah.
We finally kind of get it because Bill is turned into an archery pincushion and his body is just hanging from the back of the door of a cabin. And the dummy doesn't look very good here, but at least it's something.
Yeah, but that's because they used all their budget on the throat slitting.
I fully agree. And the arrow thing was good too, through Kevin Bacon's throat.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think those look good. But anyway, Alice has to get out of there, so instead of running into the woods where it would be hard to see her, she runs inside a cabin with all the lights on and boards up the door. Yeah. Oh, sorry. She also closes the curtains. Thank God.
Those are definitely going to help.
What am I gonna do?
So the curtains didn't help at all. No. Brenda's dead body comes rocketing through the window because our killer is Stone Cold Steve Austin now. And Alice has to make some moves. Fortunately for her, a car arrives at the camp just in time.
Thank God.
How are you?
Well, I'm Mrs. Voorhees, an old friend of the Christies.
Oh, thank God Mrs. Voorhees is here. An angel in a crochet sweater.
Yeah. Wait a minute, that name sounds familiar.
We're blown past it. Alice tries to explain that everyone's dead, but Grandma Voorhees here has a bit of explaining to do herself.
Uh-oh.
Did you know that a young boy drowned the year before those 2 others were killed? The counselors weren't paying any attention. They were making love while that young boy drowned. His name was Jason.
Hey, don't hate the sex, lady. Hate the lack of swimming skills, okay?
Well, come on, lady. It's the fault of whoever didn't teach me to swim correctly.
Agreed. I would say that lies with the mother. Anyway, Grandma Voorhees isn't done yet.
You see, Jason was my son.
Gotcha, bitch.
Ah, fuck.
And today is his birthday. You let him drown. You never paid any attention. Look what you did to him.
It was Grandma Voorhees all along. She was the one who shoved an arrow through the bed through Jack's neck.
Yeah.
She strung Bill up on the door and her old-ass body through Brenda's dead-ass body through a window.
All of this makes sense.
She's been eating her vitamins, I guess is what I'm saying.
And the vitamin called steroids.
She also might have been eating part of Ned's glue stick supply because now Jason is talking through Mrs. Voorhees.
Oh, Lord.
Don't let her get away, Mommy. Don't let her live.
I won't, Jason. I won't.
Basically, Mrs. Voorhees has been behind all of the bad stuff happening at the camp since her son Jason drowned in 1957, and she's obviously insane.
Yeah.
Now the battle is on between Grandma Voorhees and Alice. It's full-blown Looney Tunes territory now because Alice whacks the adrenaline-fueled senior citizen with a frying pan to the dome. It just dong, 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 dong. The sound is really, really funny.
It is very funny.
But it does turn out that hate can keep you conscious despite the brain injuries, I guess, because Alice and Grandma Voorhees wrestle one last time down by the lake when this happens. Alice takes a machete and straight up decapitates Grandma Voorhees in a slow-mo shot.
I mean, cut her head clean off, why don't you?
That was a swing for the fences, my dude. Like, that was some brutal shit that Alice went through.
God damn. I mean, how sharp is that machete?
I know, dude. But luckily, this whole thing is over. So Alice, she gets in a canoe and she falls asleep in the middle of the lake when the cops come by in the morning. But maybe it's not over, Dave.
Why not?
Zombie Jason leaps out of the water and tackles Alice into the lake.
What?
Kind of.
He's just amphibian now?
It's actually a nuclear waste runoff site.
That's why yep, that makes sense.
I should have written one of the sequels. But they take Alice to the hospital, and later they tell her that none of that happened, and they didn't find a zombie boy who died 23 years prior. But they did find all her real dead friends, so that's uncomfortable.
Yikes. Also, did she kill everyone and Mrs. Voorhees was there to help?
Well, let me think. No, she didn't.
Okay, great.
Roll credits. That was the original Friday the 13th. And boy, do I have feelings about it.
Yes, as do I. Not sure any of them are good.
Exactly. This shoe would not fly today, except for on Tubi or something. Anything goes there.
It's true. It's a free-for-all in that fucking app.
In the worst way.
Yes.
But I don't know, man. This is an exhausting film. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I definitely did not thoroughly enjoy it.
Did you like anything about it?
I liked the decapitation. That was pretty cool.
That was cool. I think that was nice. I did like those POV shots from the killer's point of view, and I also really liked a couple of those early kills. I think they looked good.
Although it does make me think of something. It feels like there's one point in this movie that makes me feel like whoever wrote it is a time traveler.
Okay, how so?
Because when Jason's mom goes, "I'm Mrs. Voorhees," she pauses as if for all of us to go, you know what I mean? But at this point in the original release of this movie, nobody knew who Jason Voorhees was.
That's actually a good point, because in retrospect, now it's a reveal in and of itself. But yeah, I guess at the time, okay, well, score one for the critically acclaimed writer of Friday the 13th. Big brain moves.
Future brain moves.
Future brain moves for sure, dude.
Well, as much as I would love to torture you with continuing to talk about this, I think we should just go ahead and let Freddy versus Jason begin. Oh, damn it. Jason's not in this one. I guess it's Freddy versus Jason's mom.
I got my money on Jason's mom. That bitch crazy.
Movie versus movie. Welcome to the Thunderdome. This place fucking rules.
We're back in the Thunderdome, and I'm running out of glue sticks, Dave.
I knew that was projection.
But before we watch these movies, you and I, Dave, we decide on 5 things that we both agree make a good genre movie. In this case, OG slashers. So let's go through them.
All right.
Number 1, we need an ominous killer.
Spooky. Murder.
Number 2, we need a naive group of teens.
Said it before, say it again. Teenagers are stupid.
Number 3, we need brutal kills.
Why is there so much blood?
Number 4, we need a final girl.
Oh shit, she's gonna snap.
And number 5, is our killer defeated?
Yes. No, I don't know.
Getting into our ominous killer, in Friday the 13th, we're dealing with an unseen killer. We didn't even really get to see glimpses of them through the movie, so what makes them ominous is actually the camera work, in my opinion. We get these spooky point of view shots that I really like, and the killer is just watching these teens through windows or across a lake or in their own Jeep, I guess. I don't know. But basically, through that cinematic language, all that ominousness is really built up for me.
I do have to say that you are making an argument, though, for ominous camera work and not ominous killer, because in A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger is about as ominous as it gets. He's not really shown at first, but when he is shown, he's almost always in shadow. We almost never see his face, and when we do, it's terrifying. He's all burnt up and shit, like when I try and cook chicken. Anyway, the fact that Freddy hunts people in their dreams is super ominous because there's no escape.
I mean, I agree with you. I think Freddy's a really ominous killer. We know who he is. Like, we have something to attach to and something to be scared of, where, as in Friday the 13th, we're scared of the woods. We see the killer's point of view, but we don't really get to see what we're scared of. We're just scared of something.
Yeah.
So there's less to attach to. But Freddy is a pretty ominous killer. I gotta give you that. And who he's up against? Hilarious.
Yeah. Well, that helps us get to our next point, naive group of teens. So not only is our group of teens in Nightmare on Elm Street naive, they're horny too. That's not exactly relevant, I know, but I just wanted to point out how Glenn is consistently disappointed in not getting laid and Rod constantly is getting laid. Anyway, Tina, when she first tells them about having her dream, they all kind of dismiss it in spite of clearly all having dreams themselves.
Yeah.
And then one by one, they die off because they don't take her dream threat seriously, leaving Nancy to shed her naivety by herself. Or maybe. I'm not sure. The ending is very weird in this.
No, we get quite the group of teenagers, and they're weirded out, but it takes them a bit to like figure out what to do, and then when they do stuff, they do it in the dumbest way possible. It's frustrating, but I think it does work for your point.
Yeah.
The teens in Friday the 13th, though, I would definitely categorize as naive. Yeah. I mean, we don't really get much characterization out of anybody except Ned, but they're clearly here to do a little work, drink some beers, play strip Monopoly, and fuck in old bunk beds, I guess. And like, despite the warnings they've heard about the camp, they don't give a shit because most teens don't think it could happen to them. I mean, hell, they don't even know they're all getting picked off like through the movie until like the very end. So there's not even any tension in that way.
No.
It's so everyone's so dumb.
Yeah, they are pretty dumb, which is why they die in really dumb ways.
Yeah, true. Let's get into brutal kills. Friday the 13th doesn't have the most brutal kills ever, but the ones we actually see look really good. I mean, I made this point earlier, and they really freaking feel gross. Like Annie's neck being cut looks good, the arrow through Jack's throat is gross, and Marcy getting the axe to the face made me cringe, like, big time. I'm not gonna lie. I just hate how we don't really see any kills after this until the big decapitation scene at the end.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was fun. And I gotta say, though, like, the kills in Friday the 13th started out strong, but it definitely feels like they ran out of budget.
I think so, too.
Because then we don't see any until the fucking decapitation. But let's be honest, okay? Because the kills in A Nightmare on Elm Street are downright gruesome.
Yeah.
Brutal doesn't even begin to describe it, okay? Because Tina gets pinned to the ceiling and basically gutted.
Yeah.
Rod gets Epsteined in his jail cell. Glenn gets turned into blood soup. It's all just so brutal. Not to mention the gnarly stuff Freddy does to himself in the nightmares, like cutting open his own skin with maggots inside, cutting off his fingers.
Oh, yeah.
So brutal.
Yeah, dude, and not even brutal. I'd say all the kills in Nightmare on Elm Street are creative as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, and like you said, even with Freddy, like, he's, like, ripping his face off or cutting his arm open, which feels dumb and like a monster, like, flexing on people, you know? I don't know if I like the approach necessarily, but I think the effects look good, and I think the kills and stuff are fun, but I thought Nancy was going to go out way earlier in this movie.
Yeah, speaking of Nancy, we can get our next point, final girl. So Nancy is a final girl for the ages, all right? She understands right away that she has to do something. And as the movie goes on, she learns more and more on how to defeat Freddy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how she does. But anyway, she goes through trauma after trauma, which hardens her to the point where she goes after Freddy.
Yeah.
It doesn't end well, but that's beside the point.
No.
Nancy is the definition of the final girl trope in a slasher film.
I do agree with you. Nancy, like, gets her power, and she, like, learns a bunch, and I think, you know, you can attach to it in at least a little way. But in Friday the 13th, our final girl is, hold on, it's Alice. Her name's Alice. Jesus. In my opinion, she's the most forgettable final girl in all of cinema. Like, they try to give her a little character stuff early on, but I've literally watched this movie twice for this podcast, and I still don't remember what that backstory thing is.
I don't know. Something about Steve?
Something, I don't know. She does fight like hell at the end, though, and she never gives up, which gives her some points. She hits Grandma Voorhees with just about every inanimate object around the cabin before she goes for an actual weapon and does the big decapitation. So I'd say maybe she doesn't learn much, but she does have a big push to take back her power there at the end and fight to the very last breath.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially because she finally gets revenge on Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah, but I think we can kind of move into the end with our killer defeated.
Question mark?
Exactly. But with Friday the 13th, our killer is decisively defeated, you know, with the needing an attached head thing. But what I do like about this ending is that it brings up the question of zombie Jason. Is it really over? Was Jason's spirit actually possessing his mother instead of her being insane? Could he live on? Who knows?
I don't know.
The answer is yes. He's going to live on.
Yeah, there's sequels.
Yeah. There's a lot of sequels.
Very annoying. But I have to say that at the end of A Nightmare on Elm Street, Nancy realizes that all she needs to defeat Freddy is to defeat fear. So she turns away from the melted murderer and tells him he's got no power here. He then disappears and poof, Nancy is awake and well and Freddy is finally gone. Or Nancy is still asleep, Freddy is smarter than her and has lured her into a false sense of security before ultimately trapping her and her dream friends in the car and murdering her mom, probably. And we're left with not knowing what is real and what was a dream. Was our killer defeated or not?
I hate this ending a lot. A lot. And again, I'm fine with ambiguous endings, but this doesn't even really give us any like final arc closures on things necessarily. The entire story is one big
Yeah.
And I hate that. Friday the 13th ending was kind of boring and by the books, but at least it had an ending and like an interesting little like, you know, question mark at the end, a little button with the whole Jason thing, because it's like, oh, is it really happening? Did it happen? But we know for sure that all these kids died and Mrs. Voorhees did kill them. So we have some answers with like a little button of question. Whereas in A Nightmare on Elm Street, it's just like, we don't know. It was all a dream.
Yeah. Was it all a dream? At what point was it all a dream? I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know. And I'm like too angry to care anymore.
That tracks.
Whatever. I'm done talking about these movies. I want this to be over, and I think I've made my choice. So if you're ready, I want to go to the finish line.
All right. Wake me up into the finish line.
Hey, look, we did it. It's the finish line. We're at the finish line. Can I go home yet? All right.
All right, Dave. Finally, we're at the finish line.
God damn it.
It's been the worst journey I could possibly imagine. I've had a terrible time, and I'm ready to decide a winner.
All right, man. Well, do you want to go first or do you want me to tell you what I think?
I'll go first because I'm very decisive on this.
Great.
Friday the 13th isn't interested in building atmosphere like the original Halloween. You know, it's only really interested in biding its time between kills. We don't get anything out of this movie. It's just like a couple scenes of people getting killed, kind of, and then filled with people just doing random teen things that nobody cares about. It doesn't spend any time actually developing characters.
No.
And it honestly took me a lot to remember anyone's names even when I was doing these notes. I only really remembered Ned because he was obnoxious. Yes,
he was.
But he was the only one with an actual distinct personality. It's just like, it's just such a nothing movie to me. There's nothing to grasp onto. And in Nightmare, while I think the movie is fucking goofy and I don't think it really makes sense and I don't even really particularly like it or care for it, at least the characters were characters. Like the movie had a plot. There's no plot in Friday the 13th.
No.
It's just things happen. And Nightmare on Elm Street had characters, it had a plot, and there's truly gnarly and disturbing images, and most importantly, it was a relatively fun time. But at the end of the day, I was like, okay, this is fine. I had a relatively fun-ish time, so for me, my choice for first prize film has to be A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Wow, and I thought this was going to be straightforward.
Oh, fuck.
And it was. So, I gotta agree, man. I think that at no point was Friday the 13th scary or tense or make you nervous afterwards. But fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, made you kind of fear going to sleep because how do you fight a dream demon guy? You know, like it's scary, man. But I agree with you. I think that there was actual plot in this movie. I don't think there was anything in Friday the 13th. The way I look at Friday the 13th, it was like we set up some spooky lore and then we just start killing people.
Yes, like the movie relied on a little bit of lore and a couple spooky camera angles, but there's no tension. Literally all these scenes where we have time between kills and stuff don't develop the character. They're literally chasing snakes and they're like swimming in the lake kind of, but like we don't get any development. I don't care about any of these kids.
It's true. I don't either. To be honest, though, I don't really care about the kids in Nightmare on Elm Street either. But at least I'm rooting for Nancy at some point.
You don't have to relate exactly, but they all have wants and needs and stuff that you can attach to. Like the want to stay alive. The kids in Friday the 13th don't even know they're being killed. So it's like they're just fucking off the whole time. It feels so lazy. And I understand why it got a sequel because the money, that it made. But at the end of the day, like if they hadn't developed Jason as like an iconic character or made the movies more fun later as the series went, this would have been forgotten and lost to time because this movie sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. And that's why I have to say that A Nightmare on Elm Street is also my pick for First Prize Films in the OG slashers category.
Woo woo! That's 3 for 3 we've agreed, Dave.
God damn, are we going to do it all season?
I don't know. It's a good thing though because we're out of friends. We don't have anybody
we have
to
no
call.
more friends.
Literally, holy shit, we're so desperate.
Oh, please, somebody be our friends.
Yeah, I'm glad we're in agreement though. Would you ever watch any of these movies again?
No. I might watch Nightmare on Elm Street again.
Oh, okay.
If someone hadn't seen it before, I'd watch it with them. But I'd probably be on my phone the whole time.
That's fair. I don't know. I'd never want to watch Friday the 13th ever again. I don't know why I liked it so much when I was younger. Maybe it's just like a comfort thing, but like the way people watch Friends or something. But
God, you're so weird.
If I was going to watch another one of these again, it would be Nightmare on Elm Street, but I honestly don't care to really see that ever again either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, but I would if someone asked me to.
I understand it, although I disagree with it. So.
That's fine. We don't disagree on the winner of the first prize, so we can just go ahead and fucking end.
In the words of Mrs. Voorhees...
Hey, First Prize listeners, thanks for tuning in this week. Thanks for slashing through these things with us. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed hearing us bore ourselves to sleep, consider subscribing to our socials. It's at First Prize Pod on all platforms, and that includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on TikTok and YouTube as well. Also, don't forget to check out our website. It's firstprizefilms.com.
Yeah, we do this for free because we're living in a nightmare, but if you'd still like to support us, consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, join us next week as we go to the circus with these creepy clown films.
We're talking about It from 2017 versus Terrifier 2 from 2022.
Ugh, it's gonna be... Actually, I don't care about clowns.
I dislike them.
Yeah, that tracks. See ya!
Bye.
Great, thank you for explaining your joke.
I started talking, I was like, this is dumb, I need to stop talking.
I saw you unravel in real time.
Give up.